Imagine landing in a country where ancient temples sit right next to skyscrapers so tall they touch the clouds. Does that sound like a place you'd want to explore? South Korea's got this wild mix of old and new that's pulling in travelers like crazy. And I'm about to show you why it's worth the trip. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly where to go, what to eat, and how to make the most of it without wasting your time or money. Hey, I'm just a regular person who loves digging into places that have a story to tell, and South Korea's story is a big one. I've been traveling for years now, hitting up spots all over the world, and I'm all about keeping it real. No fancy nonsense, just the good stuff you actually need to know. I spent a chunk of time roaming around South Korea, from the buzzing streets of Seoul to the quiet corners of Jeju Island, and I've got a ton to share. This isn't some quick little guide. It's a deep dive, so grab a snack and let's get into it. First stop, Seoul. If South Korea's a puzzle, Seoul's the piece that holds it all together. This city's massive. Over 9 million people live here, and it feels like every single one of them is on the move all the time. You step out of Incheon Airport, hop on the AirX train, and bam, you're in the middle of it all in under an hour. The first thing that hits you is the energy, lights flashing, people rushing, and this hum that never stops. I remember walking out of Seoul Station my first day there, and it was like stepping into a sci-fi movie. Skyscrapers everywhere, screens blasting ads in Korean, and the smell of street food wafting through the air. It's overwhelming, but in the best way possible. Let's talk about where to base yourself in Seoul, because picking the right spot can make or break your trip. My go-to is Mongdong. It's this lively area packed with shops, food stalls, and people from all over the world. You're right in the thick of things. Street vendors frying up spicy tteokbokki, those little rice cakes drowning in red sauce, and shops selling skincare stuff you've probably seen all over Instagram. I stayed at this little hotel called Nine Tree Hotel. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, cheap, and smack in the middle of Myeongdong. You walk out, and you're already where the action is. If you're more into history, though, try staying near Gyeongbokgung Palace in Jongno. It's quieter, and you're steps away from this massive old palace where guards still do a changing ceremony in traditional outfits. Pretty cool to watch, and it's free. Now, Seoul's not just about where you sleep. It's about what you do. One day, I headed to Namsan Tower. You can hike up if you're feeling energetic, but I took the cable car because, honestly, I wanted to save my legs for exploring. The view from the top is nuts. You see the whole city sprawling out, with the Han River cutting through it like a shiny ribbon. At night, it's even better. The lights make it look like something out of a dream. I stuck a little lock on the fence up there with a random message. Tons of people do it, and it's cheesy, but kind of fun. Cost me maybe 10,000 won, like $7 for the lock and the cable car ride. Another spot you can't skip is Dongdaemun Design Plaza, or DDP. It's this funky, curvy building that looks like a spaceship landed in the city. Inside, there's art exhibits and cool design stuff, but outside, it's all about the markets. I wandered through Dongdaemun Market at night, and it's a maze of stalls selling clothes, bags, and random trinkets. I grabbed a pair of socks with cartoon characters on them for like 1,000 won, less than $1. Bargaining's a thing here, so don't be shy to haggle a little. The energy's wild, and you'll hear vendors yelling out deals while K-pop blasts from every corner. Food in Seoul? Oh man, where do I start? You have to try Korean BBQ. I went to this place in Hongdae called Wangbijib. It's not the cheapest, but it's so worth it. You sit down, they bring out a grill, and you cook your own meat right there. Beef, pork, whatever you want, with all these little side dishes like kimchi and pickled radish. I think I spent about 20,000 won, around $15, and I was stuffed. If you're on a tighter budget, hit up the street food in Mongdong. Get some hot tuk, sweet pancakes with brown sugar inside, for like 2,000 won. It's crispy, gooey, and perfect when it's cold out. Let's shift gears and head south to Busan. It's about a 2-hour ride on the KTX bullet train from Seoul, and it's a whole different vibe. Busan's on the coast, so you've got beaches, seafood, and this laid-back feel that Seoul doesn't have. The train ticket's around 60,000 won, like $45. But if you're planning to zip around a lot, look into the Korail Pass. It's a deal for foreigners that lets you hop on trains without buying tickets every time. I got to Busan Station, stepped outside, and the salty air hit me right away. It's a port city, so it's got this gritty, real feel to it. Haeundae Beach is the big draw here. It's not some quiet paradise. It's busy, with umbrellas and people everywhere, especially in summer. I went in spring, so it was chill enough to walk along the sand without bumping into everyone. The water's cold, but the view's great, with skyscrapers lining the shore. I grabbed some fish cakes, hiomuk, from a stall nearby for 3,000 won. They're steaming hot, skewered, and perfect with a little soy sauce. If you're into markets, Jegalchi Fish Market is a must. It's loud, chaotic, and smells like the ocean. You can buy fresh fish and have it cooked upstairs at little restaurants. I had grilled mackerel for 15,000 won, and it was so fresh I could have eaten two. Gamcheon Village is another Busan gem. It's this hillside neighborhood with colorful houses stacked like Lego blocks. They call it Korea's Santorini, and it's easy to see why. I spent a couple hours wandering the narrow alleys, snapping pics of murals and tiny cafes. There's a map you can grab for 2,000 won that points out cool spots, like a little bookshop or a viewpoint over the whole village. It's touristy, but not in a bad way. Just wear comfy shoes because those hills are no joke. Next up, let's talk about Jeju Island. You've probably heard of it. It's this volcanic island off the south coast, and it's like South Korea's Hawaii. I flew there from Seoul on a cheap flight, about 50,000 won round trip on Jeju Air, and it's only an hour in the air. Landing in Jeju City, you feel the difference right away. It's slower, greener, and the air's got this fresh, earthy smell. Renting a car's the move here because public buses take forever. I paid around 40,000 won a day for a little Hyundai, and it made exploring way easier. Seongsan Ilchulbong is this crazy volcanic crater you have to see. It's a UNESCO site, and the hike up takes about 30 minutes. The path's steep, but there's stairs, so it's not too brutal. At the top, you're staring into this huge green bowl with the ocean all around. I went at sunrise, hence the name Sunrise Peak, and it was unreal. The sky turned orange and the wind was whipping around. Entry's only 5,000 won, so it's a no-brainer. Afterward, I grabbed some black pork BBQ nearby. Jeju's famous for it. It's smokier than regular pork, and with some soybean paste, it's heaven. Cost me 18,000 won, worth every bite. Then there's the Haeundae divers. These are older women, some in their 70s or 80s, who dive without oxygen tanks to catch seafood. I watched them off the coast near Seoul, and it's mind-blowing. They're out there in wetsuits, popping up with octopus or sea urchins like it's nothing. There's a little museum about them too, the Haeundae Museum, for 4,000 won. It's small, but you get the history, how they've been doing this for centuries, supporting their families when fishing was a man's job. I tried some fresh sea urchin soup at a stall nearby, 15,000 won, creamy and salty in the best way. Back on the mainland, let's hit Gyeongju. This place is like stepping back in time. It was the capital of the Silla Kingdom over 1,000 years ago, and it's packed with old stuff. I took a bus from Busan for about 10,000 won, and it's only an hour away. Bulguksa Temple is the star here. It's this wooden temple on a hill with stone pagodas and a peaceful vibe. Entry's 5,000 won, and you can spend an hour just soaking it in. I went in fall, and the leaves were all red and gold. It was like a painting. Nearby, Seoul Grotto's got this huge Buddha carved into a cave. It's a short bus ride up, and the view's killer. The Tumuli Park in Gyeongju's wild too. These are giant grassy mounds, royal tombs from way back. You walk around, and it's eerie but cool, knowing kings are buried under there. It's 3,001 to get in, and you can climb one for a view of the city. I grabbed some Gyeongju bread from a shop nearby, little pastries stuffed with red bean paste, for 2,001. They're sweet, soft, and perfect with tea. Now, let's swing over to Incheon. It's where most people fly into, but it's worth sticking around for a day. Chinatown's the big draw, South Korea's only official one. I wandered through, eating jjajangmyeon, this black bean noodle dish that's everywhere there. It's sticky, savory, and costs like 7,001 a bowl. The streets are full of red lanterns and old buildings, and it feels different from the rest of Korea. I also checked out Wolmido Island nearby. Just a short bus ride. It's got a promenade with seafood stalls and a little amusement park. I had some grilled clams for 10,001, fresh off the grill. Food's a huge part of South Korea, so let's dig into that more. Beyond BBQ and street food, you've got bibimbap, rice with veggies, meat, and a fried egg, all mixed with spicy gochujang sauce. I had it in a little spot in Seoul for 8,001, and it's so filling. Then there's samgyeopsal, ginseng chicken soup. It's a whole chicken stuffed with rice and herbs, boiled until it falls apart. I tried it in Insadong for 15,001, and it's perfect when you're feeling run down. Don't sleep on convenience store food either. 7-Eleven and CU have kimbap, these seaweed rice rolls, for like 2,001. I lived on those when I was rushing around. Tech's another thing South Korea's killing it at. Seoul's got some of the fastest internet in the world. I'm talking Wi-Fi everywhere, even on subways. I mean, you're zooming underground at rush hour, packed in like sardines, and your phone's still streaming videos without a hiccup. I grabbed a prepaid SIM card right when I landed at Incheon Airport. 30,001, about $22, and it gave me unlimited data for 2 whole weeks. No lag, no dropouts, just pure speed. You can rent pocket Wi-Fi too if you're traveling with a group or don't want to mess with your phone. But the SIM was so easy, I didn't even bother looking at other options. You pop it in, connect, and you're good to go, posting pics, mapping your next stop, whatever. In Hongdae, I stumbled into this VR cafe that blew my mind. It's just a random spot tucked between karaoke bars and fried chicken joints. But inside, it's next level. For 10,001, like $7, you get an hour with a headset strapped on, controllers in hand, and suddenly you're slicing through zombies or racing cars in some virtual world. The setup's so smooth you forget you're standing in a little booth with neon lights blinking outside. I'm not even a gamer, but I could have stayed there all day. The guy running it didn't speak much English, but he showed me how to work everything with a big grin, and that was that. It's crazy how normal this stuff is there. Like, VR's not a gimmick, it's just part of the vibe. And don't get me started on the toilets. I walked into a restroom at a random mall in Gangnam, expecting the usual, and instead, I'm staring at this control panel next to the seat. Buttons for everything, heated seats, a little spray to clean you up, even a dryer so you don't need toilet paper if you're feeling fancy. I sat there pressing stuff like a kid with a new toy, laughing to myself because it's so over the top, but also kind of genius. Some even play music or have a deodorizer that kicks in when you're done. I heard from a local that these high-tech toilets are standard in newer buildings, hotels, offices, even some cafes. Coming from a place where a working flush is a win, it felt like I'd stepped into the future. South Korea's tech isn't just about gadgets, though. It's how it's woven into everything. Take the subway system. In Seoul, the stations have these giant digital maps that light up your route, and screens tell you exactly when the next train's coming, down to the second. I never waited more than 5 minutes, even late at night. You can pay with your phone too. Just tap it on the gate with an app like Kakao Pay, and you're through. I saw people scanning QR codes to order coffee at cafes. No cash, no cards, just a quick beep and done. It's so seamless, you don't even think about it after a while. One day in Itaewon, I popped into an electronics store called Yongsan Electronics Market. It's this massive maze of shops selling everything: phones, cameras, drones, you name it. I wasn't even planning to buy anything, but I ended up with a cheap power bank for 15,000 won because the guy showed me how it could charge my phone twice over. The prices were solid and the staff knew their stuff. None of that pushy sales vibe, just straight up info. I heard Samsung and LG test out new gear in Seoul before it hits other countries, so you're seeing cutting-edge stuff everywhere. Even the little things are teched out. In Myeongdong, I stayed at a guest house where the door lock was a keypad. No key, just punch in a code they text you. Felt like a spy or something. And the convenience stores? They've got self-checkout machines that talk to you in Korean, but there's an English option if you poke around. I scanned some ramen and a drink, paid with my T-Money card, and was out in under a minute. It's wild how they've made life so fast and easy with this stuff. Nature's not far behind either. Bukhansan National Park's right by Seoul, an hour on the subway, and you're hiking. I took Line 3 to Gupabal Station, hopped off, and grabbed a bus for like 10 minutes to the trailhead. I went for Bagundae Peak, the highest point, and it's an easy-ish trail, about 3 hours round trip if you're not rushing. The path's mostly dirt and rocks, with some steep bits where you're grabbing onto roots or railings, but nothing too crazy. When you hit the top, it's all worth it. Jagged cliffs sticking out like teeth, and below, Seoul's skyline sprawling out with tiny cars buzzing around. You can see the Han River glinting if the sun's right. Best part? It's free to get in. Just show up and go. I went in spring, and wildflowers were popping up everywhere, little purple and yellow dots against the gray rocks. In Jeju, the Halasan hike's a different beast, 6 hours up and back, and it's no joke. I started at the Seongpanak Trail, which is longer but less steep than some others. You're walking through thick forest at first, all pine trees and birds chirping. Then it opens up to these rocky slopes with wind blasting you. The crater lake at the top, Baekneokdam, is unreal, this still, misty pool surrounded by volcanic walls. I got there after huffing it for hours, and it felt like I'd earned it. Bring water and snacks, though. There's no stalls or vending machines up there, just nature. I packed a couple mandarins and a sandwich, which saved me. Spring and fall are prime times. Summer's a sweaty mess, like 85 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity, and winter's icy with snow, clogging the paths. I went in October, and the leaves were turning orange and red, like the mountain was on fire. If you're in Busan, check out Igidae Park. It's this coastal trail along cliffs and the ocean, maybe an hour's walk if you take it slow. I started near Oryukdo Skywalk, a glass bridge over the sea that's free to step on, and followed the path. You've got waves crashing below, seagulls swooping, and these twisted pine trees leaning out like they're posing for pics. I stopped at a lookout point and just sat there, watching fishing boats bob around. No entry fee, just pure scenery. It's less crowded than Haeundae Beach, so you get that quiet vibe. Back in Seoul, Namsan Park's another easy one. It's smack in the city, surrounding Namsan Tower. I walked up instead of taking the cable car one day. Takes about 40 minutes if you're not dawdling. The trail's paved mostly, with trees shading you and squirrels darting around. You pass old stone walls from way back, and at the top, you're hit with that same killer view of Seoul. It's free too, unless you want to go inside the tower itself. I went in the evening once, and the city lights were sparkling like crazy. Totally different feel from daytime. Let's talk practical stuff. Money-wise, South Korea's not cheap like Southeast Asia. Think Thailand or Vietnam where you're living large on $20 a day. But it's totally doable if you play it smart. On the low end, a decent hotel in Seoul's around 50,000 to 80,000 won a night, which is like 40 to 60 bucks. I stayed at a spot in Myeongdong for 60,000 won. Simple room, clean bed, tiny bathroom, but it did the job. You can even crash in a guest house or hostel for cheaper, 20,000 to 40,000 won, maybe $15 to $30, dorm style with shared bathrooms. I met a guy in Hongdae who was paying 25,000 won a night for a bunk, and he said it was fine as long as you don't mind snoring strangers. Food's a steal if you stick to street eats or small joints, 5,000 to 15,000 won per meal, so 4 to 11 bucks. Think spicy tteokbokki from a cart for 5,000 won, or a bowl of bibimbap at a hole in the wall for 8,000. Trains and buses are affordable too. Subway rides in Seoul are 1,350 won, about $1, and a bus across town similar. Get a T-Money card for 3,000 won, load it with 10,000 or 20,000 won, and tap it everywhere. Subways, buses, even some taxis. I spent about 1,500,000 won, around $1,100 for 2 weeks, including flights from Japan, hotels, food, and transport. You could shave that down to 800,000 to 1 million won if you're hardcore. Hostels, convenience store, kimbap, skipping fancy stuff. Now, if you're going high-end, South Korea can flex some serious luxury. In Seoul, a 5-star hotel like the Lotte World Tower or the Shilla runs 300,000 to 600,000 won a night, so $220 to $450. I peeked into the Lotte once. The lobby's all marble and chandeliers, and rooms have floor-to-ceiling views of the city. A friend splurged on a night there for 400,000 won and said the bed felt like sleeping on a cloud. Plus, they throw in breakfast with caviar and champagne if you're into that. Food can climb too. High-end Korean BBQ spots in Gangnam, like Gaon or Yongsu-san, charge 100,000 to 200,000 won per person, around 75 to 150 bucks. You're getting Wagyu beef, truffle kimchi, and servers who grill it for you. I didn't go that far, but I did a mid-range BBQ in Hongdae for 20,000 won. Still delicious, just less extravagant. Transport's where it stays reasonable, even at the top. KTX bullet train, first class from Seoul to Busan, is 85,000 won, like $65, versus 60,000 won for standard. I took standard and was comfy, but first class gets you bigger seats and free snacks. Activities swing both ways too. Low end, you've got freebies like hiking Bukhansan or wandering Gyeongbokgung Palace's grounds. Entry's 3,000 won if you go inside, but the outside's enough to soak it in. Street markets like Namdaemun cost nothing unless you buy, and I snagged a scarf for 5,000 won. High end though, think 200,000 won for a day at Lotte World Amusement Park, 150 bucks, with VIP passes to skip lines, or 500,000 won for a private hanbok photo shoot at a palace, full pro setup with hair and makeup. I stuck to renting a hanbok for 10,000 won an hour and took my own pics. Still felt fancy. In Jeju, a budget car rental's 40,000 won a day, but a luxe tour with a driver hits 300,000 won. Someone else navigating those winding roads. My 2 weeks averaged out because I mixed it up. Cheap eats some days, a nicer meal others, budget hotels, but a pricier flight to Jeju, 50,000 won round trip. You could scrape by on 50,000 won a day. Hostel, street food, public transport, or ball out at 500,000 won daily with top-tier everything. Depends on your vibe. I'd say plan 80,000 to 150,000 won a day, $60 to $110, to live comfy without stressing. Weather's a big deal too. I went in April and it was perfect. Cool days, cherry blossoms everywhere. Summer's hot and humid, like 90 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. Winter's freezing, down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. But you get snow. Fall's another sweet spot. Crisp air, colorful leaves. Pick your season based on what you like. Oh, and visas. Most people from the US, Canada, or Europe get 90 days visa-free. Check online, but it's pretty easy. The climax of this whole trip? For me, it was standing on top of Seongsan Ilchulbong at sunrise. I'd been all over Seoul's chaos, Busan's beaches, Gyeongju's history, but that moment, with the sun popping up over the ocean, hit different. It's when I realized South Korea's got this balance, crazy modern stuff and old-school beauty all mashed together. I sat there, wine in my face, eating a mandarin orange I'd bought from a stall, and it felt like the whole trip clicked. That's what I want you to chase when you go, those moments where it all makes sense. So, wrapping this up, South Korea's a place that's got it all. Cities that never sleep, food that'll make you hungry just thinking about it, and nature that'll calm you down after all the noise. Start in Seoul, bounce to Busan, fly to Jeju, dip into Gyeongju, and don't skip Incheon. Eat everything, try everything, and don't overthink it. Just go. It's not perfect. Crowds can be a lot, and some spots are touristy, but it's real, and it's worth it. I've barely scratched the surface here. There's so much more, like Daegu's spicy chicken or Sokcho's snowy mountains. But this is your starting point. Hit that subscribe button if you want more travel deep dives like this. I've got plenty more to share.